information center of the Twin Cities, News 11 with Paul Majors, Kirsten Lindquist, Jeff Passolt on sports, and meteorologist Paul Douglas.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to toss all formality out the window right now. Just moments ago, we had some amazing pictures from Sky 11.
Incredible
of a tornado moving around. Paul Douglas is right over here right now to bring us up to date. Paul?
Okay, Paul and Kirsten, we want to update you. A tornado warning has been issued for extreme southern portions of Anoka County and northern Ramsey County. Here is the storm that is producing a tornado. This is all hail and very heavy rain. It appears the tornado is right about here in the vicinity of Brooklyn Park. Specifically, this would be in the Brooklyn Park, Anoka Coon Rapids area, near Blaine, Spring Lake Park, Lino Lakes. Those are towns in the immediate path of this tornado. Do we have live video from Sky 11? Max Mesmer is our Sky 11 pilot, and he is currently up in the vicinity of Brooklyn Park. There was a reported touchdown in Brooklyn Park at 85th and Zane just a few short moments ago. As you can see, there is the tornado. It is indeed on the ground. You can see debris being tossed up, and we want to go live to Max Mesmer.
Thousands of feet in the air. There are flash fires on all the high-tension wires. We're about 3/4 of a mile from the actual touchdown at this time. This is really spectacular.
Max, based on what you've seen, what do you estimate the damage to be in the Brooklyn Park area? I mean, obviously this is causing damage.
Another touchdown. I'm going to have to leave this area here. The debris is drifting my way here.
Please do, Max. Please do not endanger yourself here.
All the high-tension wires.
Again, to repeat, where Max is, he is right in the vicinity of Brooklyn Park. Our friends up in Coon Rapids and Fridley should be taking cover immediately. This is not the kind of thing where we're talking about a watch. This is obviously, as you saw, on the ground. Earlier, about 10-15 minutes ago, this is what the funnel looked like before it touched down. It developed right over Brooklyn Park in northeastern Hennepin County. Now, the prevailing winds are pretty much west to east, so the greatest threat right now is for viewers living in southern Anoka and northern Ramsey County. Again, Brooklyn Center, Fridley, Mounds View, White Bear Lake, Coon Rapids, Centerville, Lino Lakes, all those towns, you should be taking cover immediately underneath the stairway in your basement. Offers the greatest protection under some heavy furniture. And do we have the live video? Let's see if we can go back one more time. It is obviously on the ground right now, Paul.
I think what happened is that Max had to move out of the area there, and he has to readjust the signal right now, and that's what's going on. What we're going to do right now is toss to a commercial break. When we come back, hopefully Max and Sky 11 will be in a position to give us another glimpse of that, because we'd like to obviously find out if there's been any damage at this point. Max, needless to say, has had a bird's eye view. We're going to take, actually right now,
we have another
coming up in 5 seconds, they tell us, so we can all take a look at this thing live as it's coming up right here. Max, as I said, as you heard Paul talking to him, and Max himself, there's the new picture right there.
It would appear, if this is correct, that this is a tornado in the dying stage, but
Max,
obviously still very dangerous.
Max, can you hear us, Max? Max Mesmer, this is Paul Majors in the studio. Can you hear us?
I think he has his hands full just flying right now, Paul.
You saw this. Max,
it is on the ground. It is most definitely on the ground. I would estimate, just looking at the video and the debris, that the winds are probably 200, 250 miles an hour. Again, it appears that this is in the Brooklyn Park, Coon Rapids,
35W right there,
yeah.
Paul.
Okay.
The interstate.
This is live video.
Hoo-wee.
And Max is a little closer to that than I'd like him to be at the moment.
The flash that you saw as this picture just came up is the high-tension wires.
That's right.
Max was talking about the flash fires on high-tension lines, and that's what we saw as that picture first started.
We should reiterate again, Paul, people in southern Anoka County and northern Ramsey County, you are under the gun. There is the tornado right about there. This is the cell producing the tornado. Currently, Max is right about here. The cell is drifting to the east. Folks, again, in Coon Rapids, Fridley, White Bear Lake, Lino Lakes are in the path of this storm. You should take cover immediately. If you have to, take a radio or a TV down to the basement with you, but for goodness sakes, stay away from windows and get inside, get underneath something. If you don't have a basement, the safest place is on the ground floor, a small room like a closet, a bathtub offers a lot of protection. A lot of people have survived tornadoes by climbing into their bathtubs, putting a mattress on top of them. For goodness sakes, please take it seriously. I'm sure there have been some injuries and some very serious damage just looking at the video we just saw, Paul.
Here's another picture up right now, Paul. Max is trying to, again, get into position where he's in a safe position to give us a picture of this thing. What you're seeing here is the helicopter turning around and obviously the camera operator there trying to do the same thing. I have a question for you, Paul, before we go away and try and establish a picture again. How long can this thing remain up in the air? Will this thing travel over into Wisconsin? We have another picture coming up right now, they're telling us. Here it is.
It is most definitely on the ground, as you can see.
35W right there.
What a frightening sight.
To answer your question, Paul, these can last anywhere from 10 minutes to 2 hours. The average tornado in Minnesota lasts about 20 minutes or so. This looks like a much more dangerous tornado. This could easily go on for another 15, 20, maybe even 30 or 40 minutes. There you saw another high-tension wire being hit.
Now, I have a question. Did we have a warning up on the air about... There are the flash lines right there, the high-tension lines flashing right there.
We are not even under a watch, technically. There is a severe storm watch west of the cities.
How did this happen then?
It just developed directly overhead. We had 93-degree heat. The dew point is up around 78. The atmosphere is just explosively unstable, and it just erupted in the past couple of minutes over extreme northeastern Hennepin County. Again, it's moving east. That is a dangerous tornado. On a scale, they rate them from a F1 to F5, F5 being a catastrophic tornado, F1 being a minor tornado. That appears like that's an F2 or an F3, which would mean wind speeds in excess of 225, 250 miles an hour. Obviously, if that comes through your neighborhood, it's going to produce total devastation.
The area right here, Paul, by the way, apparently I've just been told by our producer, is Brooklyn Park. This is about a half a mile away from the original touchdown site.
And Paul, there is a tornado warning up for eastern Hennepin, southern Anoka, and Ramsey County. Again, off the teletype at 4:50, law enforcement personnel reported a tornado on the ground in Brooklyn Center. And it is still on the ground.
Now they're telling us, Paul,
Fridley.
it's Fridley. This is now east of the Mississippi River in Anoka County.
Paul, how long has it been? Can you remember a tornado like this in our area in any time in the recent past?
Frankly, the last big one was the Fridley outbreak back in 1965, so it's almost like deja vu.
This is Fridley again, right here, right now. That's what you're looking at.
And for God's sakes, we have been accused in the media of overhyping things from time to time. This is not hype, folks. This is a potentially deadly situation. For God's sakes, get yourself to the basement if you live in southern Anoka or northern Ramsey County. It is a very dangerous tornado, as you can see. This is not just a little garden variety twister that touches down and lasts for 2 or 3 minutes. This is a killer tornado, and it is now moving across extreme southern Anoka County. Again, towns in the path: Mounds View, White Bear Lake, Spring Lake Park, Lino Lakes, Centerville. They are under the gun, and you should be moving to the basement immediately, underneath the stairwell, under a heavy piece of furniture. I have never seen anything like this, Paul and Kirsten.
Yeah, it is an incredible sight to see. Thankfully, from what we've been able to see live here lately, it looks as though we've gone through basically an area without that many homes and
let's just
people in the
Let's see a building there, though, behind it. Doesn't that look like a building?
Let's keep Max a safe distance away from this thing. I'm a little worried about turbulence all around the tornado.
He's probably being quite judicious at this point about his location.
We're told now this is about a half mile east of the Mississippi River, this tornado.
This is just unbelievable. And you can see it is still most definitely on the ground. This is not a funnel, this is a tornado. Let's update Doppler real quickly here and show you exactly where the tornado is again on the map, if we can. Here is the cell. There is Fridley. There is the tornado. The entire cell is moving east at about 20 miles an hour. Our friends in northern Ramsey, and especially south central and southeastern Anoka County, and even northern and central Washington County, are really in danger, and they should be taking appropriate measures even as we speak. If you have to, turn off the TV set, go down into the basement, and please be very careful over the next 20, 30 minutes. Paul?
All right, one thing we want to point out as well is Max Mesmer has phoned in here via radio, and he assures us he is in a very safe position. He's a very skilled pilot, so if you're home worrying about Max, you can a little bit, but don't get overly concerned. Max is a very, very cautious pilot. He obviously does a very good job.
We have some more information now, don't we?
Right. Mary Stuckey is in the newsroom. She's been making phone calls on some of the damage. Mary, what have you been able to find out?
Susan Wiese.
Susan Wiese.
Right.
Paul and Kirsten, I've been checking with hospitals in the area, specifically Unity Hospital and Mercy Medical Center. And ambulance crews are in the area and on the ground. They're there waiting just to see what injuries might develop. So far, we have no reports of injuries, but of course there may and could be some. Police, too, are moving into the area to offer extra help in the need that someone does need additional guidance and direction in this kind of an emergency. Paul and Kirsten?
So, Susan, I guess at this point, then, what you're telling us is hospitals in that area have not received any people that have been injured by this thing.
No, not yet, but all of them have put their tornado emergency standards into effect right now. They're ready, they're standing by, waiting in the event injuries do occur.
All right.
Susan, have you, has anybody checked on whether there are any residential areas that are directly in danger at this moment?
Right now, Mary Stuckey and I shortly will be checking on that again. Right now, we do not know, based on the path of the tornado, who most likely could be hit.
Paul?
Yes, Paul.
I am most concerned about people living in mobile homes at this point. In southern Anoka and northern Ramsey County, a house offers quite a bit of protection in the event of a tornado, especially if you have a basement. But for goodness sakes, if you're watching from a mobile home park, if you live in a trailer in southern Anoka County or northern Ramsey County, get out of it, get into a pre-designated shelter. Take this seriously. This is the real thing. You can see that is unbelievable. Winds probably in excess of 200 miles an hour. Obviously, unless your house is tied down, it appears the tornado has actually slowed down almost to a creep.
The producer just told us, Paul, that Max radioed in and said the tornado, it appears to be stationary right now. It's just west of Highway 65 in Fridley, but he says it appears to be stationary. Folks, we're not going to break away. We're going to continue looking at this, and because of that, we need to take care of some business as you look at it. Scott Stahowiak is our producer. Scott, if you can, try and establish some communications with Max so that we could maybe get his voice on the air. I assume you've been working on that, but that would be nice to have his presence since he is there and seeing this thing firsthand.
Scott says he'll try.
Yeah.
Paul, again, to reiterate, a basement under the stairs, under a heavy piece of furniture, not the southwestern corner, underneath the stairs in your basement. If you live in southern Anoka or northern Ramsey or extreme northeastern Hennepin County, you should be in the basement.
Paul,
right now.
Can you tell us anything about what might motivate that tornado to move in a certain direction? If it's stationary now, what might cause it to move on?
Frankly, the upper level winds, the jet stream winds, are very light. And the reason we have a tornado developing at all is because the atmosphere is incredibly unstable. It's very hot and humid near the ground and relatively cold aloft. But the upper winds are light, and so that would cause the tornado to move at a very slow rate of speed.
Max is changing his position here, as you can probably tell at home.
I want him to stay far enough away from that thing. These things can redevelop, and they can be extremely fickle. I'd feel a little more comfortable if he was farther away from that thing. As you can see, it is still on the ground. This is not a funnel, folks. This is actually on the ground, producing damage.